Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? I'm always not sure if people can hear me good. I'm Susie Spickle, not Jack Dalton, and I'm so excited to be here today, and I just want to say thank you to all of you who serve on conservation commissions across our state and help take care of our natural resources, our land, for the future and the present. So today I'm going to start off with a little slideshow. I asked Barbara if she could dim the lights because I want you to be able to see the slides better. Hopefully I can get it to work. Hold on. It's always the first thing. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is us. Here we are. We're sparking joy, so get ready. I thought I'd call this Hands on the Land, and the very first part that I'm going to share is just a little bit about the Harris Center. Although Barbara was very nice to suggest that you might all know about me and the Harris Center, I'm not 100% sure that's true. And if I don't talk about the Harris Center, I get in trouble. We have a few board members out here. So the Harris Center is in Hancock, New Hampshire, in the southwestern part of the state. It's been a land trust and an environmental education organization for over 50 years, which is pretty cool. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do, and a huge part of what we do is teach people about nature, and we have a very robust program in the local public schools and a few of the private schools, all the way from pre-kindergarten up through high school. And we work in over 30 different schools and reach over 5,000 students a year through this program. The program is based on the national science standards, and we like to say we like to turn science inside out. It's all about making the local connection for kids about science in their own schoolyards. So most of the program takes place not at the Harris Center. We go into the schools. It's all about going out in the schoolyard and into their community. Besides teaching in the classroom, we have a very, very vibrant community programs offering. And that's actually my job at the Harris Center. I'm a naturalist, but I'm also the community programs director. We offer over 150 different programs a year, and this is what we like to call lifespan education. So this is from Babies in Backpacks, what you're seeing up here. So that's our youngest. We have had an 11-day-old baby as our youngest participant. And then we do all the way up through lifespan. We do programs in assisted living and memory care. So really, the whole idea is that at every age and every moment in your life, you can have the opportunity to connect to the natural world. And the Harris Center is all about helping people fall in love with this natural world. And we've been so fortunate to work over these past 50 years with conservation commissions, other land trusts, and landowners. In the southwestern corner where the Harris Center is located, the Harris Center has protected over 25,000 acres of land, which is really remarkable. And that's part of a larger landscape of protection. So if you haven't traveled down to the southwestern corner of New Hampshire in a while, come on down. We have lots of hiking trails and beautiful places for you to see, and it's all through land protection. The Harris Center, though, is different than other land trusts because it isn't just about protecting land. It's really about getting people on the land. And the way that we've gone about protecting land has been really thoughtful in trying to make connections between large parcels of land, sort of a green contiguous area that we like to call the super sanctuary. And just recently, we have a job opening at the Harris Center, and we interviewed a candidate, and she said, well, I'd like to live right in the middle of the super sanctuary. She's from North Carolina, so the idea that we had all this protected land was pretty remarkable for her. She was excited about it, and it is very cool. On that land, it's all about people, though, and wildlife. And because I'm focusing on community programs, I'm really focused on how people experience that. And it's really about getting out there and getting experiences in there. And one of my teachers when I was at NHACC, David Sobel, he's an author about place-based education. He said this, it really stuck with me. When you remember something in the outdoors, it isn't about the facts of it. it's about the experience. So for kids, you could teach kids, 100 facts, but it's really that one experience where their heart opens that they'll remember. A big part of what we've been doing is helping community scientists make discoveries on our land. And this is our newest endeavor, conservation research. And we have a couple of ways that we do that through a hawk watch that happens up on Pac-Monadnock, to our very popular salamander crossing brigades. Just raise your hand if you've heard about the crossing brigades. Yes. We crossed over this year. We had a record number of amphibians that were crossed. Over 10,000 amphibians were crossed. And talk about a great partnership. The city of Keene now closes 2 main streets during the first rainy nights of spring for safe passage for amphibians. It's really all about, for me, planting the seeds so the next generation can enjoy the shade, right? That's what it's about. I want to talk today about, that was just my intro about the Harris Center. Sorry it went on so long, but there was a lot to say. I want to talk today, though, about the work that I do with conservation commissions in schools. And this is really important because I think a lot of times we think of conservation commissions protecting land and managing land, and we don't really think about what it does for the school kids that live near those lands. And I want to tell you, it does so much. I work in 2 schools that have land close enough that they can walk to, and they go out there all the time. Pierce School in Bennington and the Hancock Elementary School in Hancock. And when we are working with those schools, those are our go-to lands. The Bruce Eads Memorial Forest and the Kempner Meadow are the 2 conservation lands that are managed that we visit. And on those sites, kids just have a chance to really be kids out there. They build forts. We make tea from white pine trees and not water hemlock, eastern hemlock. We sit back, we relax, we enjoy it, we explore. We're kids there. In some of the schools, and Bennington in particular, we offer a morning hiking club that goes out to the Bruce Eads Forest, and this program is pretty remarkable. We get to see kids, they come into school, we go right out, they tell us how they're feeling before they go walking. We have like a code. Green is you feel good, yellow not so good, and you can imagine red is pretty cruddy. Then we go for a hike. We go exploring. We do a lot of moving through the space, looking and listening for birds and finding tracks. And then at the end of the hike, we ask them how they're feeling. And if they've been in the red zone, most often they end up leaving in the green zone. And that's true. Research bears this out. Time in nature reduces your stress, it lowers your blood pressure, it makes you feel more connected and more grounded. And those kids, this isn't a big, long study, but we've been studying this for the past few years. The kids that participate in the morning walking club have less time spent in the office with the principal. So they're taking those good feelings with them. I actually think all schools should start the day with a morning walking club. What do you guys think? Right, yeah, right on. And stay out there, yeah. I love that. I heard somebody say, and stay out there. And that at the Pierce School in Bennington, they have days where they just spend the whole entire day outside. They call it reverence of place. And it's all about helping kids feel really connected to a spot in their community. And I want to tell you that's worth its weight in gold. If you want kids to fall in love with the place that they live in, this is the type of programming, this is the type of opportunities that need to be offered. They find a sense of peace, and when I've interviewed the kids, they say, Bruce Eads Forest feels like my forest. And that's kind of what you want. That's the beginning of a conservation ethic. That's the beginning of future Conservation Commission members. And it all comes from a place of joy, a place of connection. At the Hancock Elementary School, the Kempner Meadow is a little bit different than the Bruce Eads Forest. It's just a big open space, and we do a lot of actual science studies in that space. We look at insects, we do an insect survey. These are kids doing a bird survey. We've even done a a bird nesting study where we painted the bird boxes a red color, and we painted them, and we left them a natural color, and we're studying to see if birds seem to show a preference for their what color their nest box is. So far, the jury's out. I don't think our study site's big enough. So maybe some of you out there want to join our study and send your results to me. But we also do a lot of playing. We look for exciting finds in the big meadow, and scat is always the most exciting find that we can find. I bet there's a lot of people out here who would agree. But I mean, that's what kids remember. I've been at the Harris Center a long time now. This is actually my 32nd year. I like to tell people I started when I was 12. That's not really true. So I have to say that now I have kids that I taught, and when their parents see me, they're like, "Oh, I remember you. Remember we found that fox scat," or "Remember we sniffed the fox pee together." I mean, these are the things that they remember, and it sounds funny, but it goes right in their heart, and it's a memorable experience, and they're still living in this community, still participating in it. So I think it's working, and I think we need more of it. So kids really having that opportunity to walk to a spot near their school, for teachers to be able to take their students out to that spot, to make it accessible so that schools have that opportunity, I think that is an essential part of the recipe of making the next generation of stewards. And you know, it's harder and harder for kids to go outside. A lot of them are stuck on this, right? This is the screen. I've had kids say to me, "Well, I don't need to catch a frog. I watched it on YouTube," right? But we know the experience of actually catching a frog is a very different experience as opposed to watching somebody else catch it. It's these hands-on experiences, these moments in nature that really go into the heart of a person and make them a future conservationist, a citizen of this world, somebody who's going to be sitting in these chairs in the future as Conservation Commission members and just members of our community. And even if they don't stay in our community, they're taking those experiences with them to whatever community they go to and making that place a better place to live in. And I just would like to share that as a Conservation Commission members out here, if you're looking and thinking about the next parcel of land to protect, I want to encourage you to think about not just the Wildlife Action Plan, and believe me, I'm a big fan of that plan, but I want you to think about access and how close it can be for a school to access. And I think we can think about that. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, right? I had very few green spaces in my world growing up, but I lived near a park, not a big park, very small park, not like Prospect Park. It was just like a corner park. And that was a place where I grew to be who I am. That's a place where I watched ants and slugs and a lot of starlings, pigeons, but they were really exciting to me. And I think we don't know what our future holds for our towns, but what we can do is preserve and think about preserving spaces, not just for wildlife, but for people to be able to go into those spaces easily. And I'd like to just kind of wrap up this part of my talk with the idea that when we give people the opportunity to go outside, and a lot of the programs in Pierce School and Hancock Elementary School, Conservation Commission members are involved. They come out with us at Pierce School as our morning walking club. They come out on those Reverence of Place days. And the Hancock site, we work with the Conservation Commission on rebuilding a boardwalk that gets the students to those places safely without having to walk on the highway. You guys have a role to play. You can be leaders. You can be thinkers about what land to protect next. You can help teachers find organizations like the Harris Center or New Hampshire Audubon or Beaver Brook or any of those places to help them have professional development so they can feel more comfortable outside. And the future is really ours. The future is right there in that little person's face. And I think that without places to go to, without access to them, we do our future a disservice. And so I just really, again, want to encourage everybody to be thinking about what properties around your town can you protect that really give schools access to wild places. And again, it doesn't have to be so big. It can be a small meadow, or for me, it was a corner play yard. And that's what I have to say about this part of the conversation, because I want to turn it over to my co-keynoter, Jack Dalton, who I am the biggest fan of. Jack is 12 years old, and he's known as the Kid Conservationist. He's an animal activist, a conservationist, an educator, an author. This guy has done more in his 12 years of life than most people have done in their entire lifetime. And it is truly my honor today to share this stage with him, because this is the voice of the future. And I am honored, Jack, to be here with you. So come on up.
Hello, everyone. How does a 12-year-old boy from New Hampshire end up writing a children's book about orangutans, replanting the rainforest in Indonesia, and raising over $13,000 for conservation? Hello, my name is Jack Dalton, and I'm known as the Kid Conservationist. For the past 3 years, I've been working as an animal activist, public speaker, author, and educational YouTuber, all in the name of saving orangutans, spreading awareness of endangered species, and protecting our environment as a whole. During this time, I've learned, I've grown, and I've inspired thousands of people all around the globe to take action and to care about nature and wildlife. I'm here today to tell you about where my passion came from and how we can get more kids to have this excitement for conservation. The outdoors and animals have always been a key part of my life, from climbing boulders to walking in the woods, stomping in rain puddles, camping, or going to farms and zoos. I've always felt I'm a part of nature. So much of my early childhood was spent outdoors, and I'm so grateful to have spent so much time in the great outdoors from such a young age. Shortly after my 4th birthday, my family left for the adventure of a lifetime. My dad took a job as a travel nurse, and we began to explore the United States. Luckily for me, my mom is a teacher, and she homeschooled me during this time. We were fortunate to have a changing classroom every 3 months because of this travel nursing all around the U.S. We lived in places Florida, Texas, Wisconsin, Washington, Massachusetts, Idaho, and Tennessee. And because of this, I had a wide range of places to learn in and about. Our days often began exploring ponds or trails to see and observe the local wildlife. In Florida, I swam with manatees to support the conservation efforts to get them off the endangered species list. Another time, I learned about volcanoes while walking on one. With my mom as my teacher and the world as our classroom, the possibilities were endless. To put it simply, my childhood was really cool. These years traveling laid the groundwork for my love and appreciation of the natural world, which eventually led to my passion for wildlife and our planet. One of my favorite places we lived was Memphis, Tennessee, mainly because of the Memphis Zoo. Zoos are a powerful place where people can become connected to wildlife and animals and have opportunities to see animals that they would likely never have the ability to see otherwise. The Memphis Zoo in particular is a magical one of these zoos where they have pandas, cheetahs, snakes, whole range of so many animals. But my favorite, don't tell the bonobos, the orangutans were at this zoo. The orangutans at the Memphis Zoo, especially the little baby rowan, showed me just how intelligent my fellow redheads can be. After learning that orangutans were critically endangered at the age of 8, I knew I needed to do something to help them, which is why I began my work as the Kid Conservationist. While I can say this was the beginning of my conservation efforts, I can't say it was the beginning for my love for nature and wildlife. I truly owe that to my experiences ever since the day I was born. And I owe my endless gratitude to my parents for giving me these amazing opportunities and continuing to do so. No matter what, the important thing is to get kids out in nature and exposed to wildlife. When we are out in nature, we're connected to each other and the world. When we are connected, we are inclined to take action when something threatens our existence and the existence of other species. Youth need to be a part of this change and need to be given a platform to do so. Over the years, I've been supported and empowered by teachers, educators, zookeepers, conservation experts, and so many other people. When us youth have the opportunity to have a voice and create change, incredible things can happen. Which is why I'm very excited to be a part of the 52nd Annual New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions Conference, where we can talk about how to educate and inspire youth to make a difference. Next, Susie Spickle and I will be having a sit-down conversation about nature and the benefit it has on children. Thank you for being here and for wanting to make a difference for youth and our environment. All right. Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear us?
How
Great.
about, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. All right, Jack, what we're going to do is we're going to ask each other questions. We don't know what the questions are. I'm a little nervous. Do you want to go first, or you want to do rock, paper, scissors, shoot?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay,
Let's
ready?
do it.
Oh, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, my God.
Rock.
We're so in tune. We just keep doing the same.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yes.
All right, Jack, you can choose if you want to ask first or
All
if
right.
you want me
I'll
to
ask first.
Oh, gosh.
Making you nervous here. All right. I'm wondering, what are some of your favorite places to get outdoors in New Hampshire? And of those, what are some of your favorite to recommend to kids and families?
Gosh, that's such a great question, but I have a kind of boring answer because I'm a real homebody. I love Hancock, and so I have a lot of places in Hancock that I love to go exploring. I love being on the water, so I'm a big fan of all the amazing lakes and ponds that New Hampshire is blessed with, and I spend a lot of time on Nubanoosit Lake and Spoonwood. Anybody been there? Yeah, it's beautiful, so well protected, and it's a great place for families to go. And one of the places that I love to hike the most, of course, I am a company person, so I have to say Scatutakee, which is a Harris Center mountain, and that's right near the Harris Center. Scatutakee Mountain, I love to go up it, and there's some incredible new carvings on it that kids just love. We have Jack McWhorter. Is Jack here? He's on the Conservation Commission. Or is he? Is he on the I'm looking at Stephen. Is he on the Conservation Commission? Yes, okay. He says yes. He's been doing these carvings, these wooden carvings of a snake, a salamander, a frog, an owl, and even a dragon. And I love taking groups of kids up there and exploring. And I also really love winter sports. So I'm a big backcountry skier, and I spend a lot of time in Andorra Forest and Stoddard, which you could spend your whole vacation for the rest of your life in Andorra because it is the size of the country of Andorra. Has anybody been to Andorra Forest, Pitcher Mountain? If you haven't, check it out. It's beautiful. So how about you, Jack? Where do you like to explore?
Well, there's a lot of beautiful places in New Hampshire, so it's hard to pick just a couple. But I always love Mount Major. It's beautiful. It has great views. It's a quick hike, and you can see lakes and mountains, and it's gorgeous, especially in the fall. New Hampshire in the fall is something that you can't beat, and I think that's a great way to get kids connected with nature, especially living here in New England, is being outside in the fall especially. But yeah, Mount Major is one of my favorite places. I hiked Packmanadnock once. That was really nice, yeah. So yeah, a lot of great places that
That's
we have.
good.
Yeah.
Well, we're taking you can come visit Jack and me later today, and you can tell us your favorite places. I got to use my notes because I'm older than Jack and my memory isn't as good, my questions. Okay, so Jack, you might have answered this a little bit in your slideshow, but I'm curious why orangutans, besides sharing a red-headed color, what is about them that makes you just so much love them and are so motivated? And what's the plight of the orangutan?
So, yes, that was the way I was first initially fell in love with orangutans, was their red hair. But after seeing how intelligent they were, after observing them for months at the Memphis Zoo, I knew that orangutans were the animal that I was really connected with and that I love so much. They share 97% of our DNA, so us humans are really closely related to them. So I felt such a special relationship with the orangutans. So after I learned that they were critically endangered when I was 8 years old at one of the babies' birthday parties, I knew I needed to do something to help them. So I decided to write a letter to companies telling them about how some of the products that they used in their items were causing damage to orangutans' homes in the rainforests of Indonesia. So after that, my work as a kid conservationist sort of took off, and I started taking more actions to help orangutans. So ever since then, I've been working to help them and working to protect all endangered species. And I've kind of broadened the scope from just orangutans. It's more focused on an entire ecosystem, because the whole ecosystem impacts, every animal is important to an ecosystem.
If we were wanted to make sure that we were buying smart to help orangutans in that habitat, what are some things we should avoid? Is it like palm oil?
Yeah, palm oil is the biggest. It's one of the major reasons why orangutans are endangered. So if you can, try and read the packaging and find palm oil and look for products that don't have palm oil. There's a wonderful website called Products Without Palm Oil, and it has some great products without palm oil, and some great things that you can buy that are completely palm oil free, and you can get without having any environmental impacts on orangutans. Though certification labels are also a good way to tell if something has palm oil or is vegan or things like that.
Great, thank you, Jack.
Yes. So I'm wondering, what do you think is the best way to engage kids and families in nature? And with the Harris Center, you're doing some great work to get kids out from a young age all the way throughout their life. But what do you think the best way to get entire families out and then keep getting them out in nature is?
This is like the $1 million question. I think about this question all the time at my work. I think that sometimes as adults we can think about, we have this comment where we say, kids nowadays. How many people have ever said that? Kids these days, they don't get outside enough. Kids these days, they watch too much on their screen. And that's all true, but it isn't really about the kids. It goes to the parents, right? We really should be saying parents these days. And I just feel like helping kids get outside is all about empowering parents to feel like being outside is not just good for their kids, but actually really good for them too. All those benefits that kids get from being outside can be translated to what parents get. If you're feeling uptight and anxious, take your kids outside. You don't have to worry so much about them, messing up your house if they're outside. So learning how to find the space and the time to go outside and encourage parents and educate them and spend time with them, I think that's really, really key. And I think it has to be fun. I think a lot of times, I know with my own kids, when I first had them, I'd be like, we're going to go on a hike. And, but kids' legs, they're like, when they're like 3, they're like this big. So it's never that much fun. And I know all of you have been there who have kids or have been around kids or heard kids on a trail who are doing something that may be beyond their capacity. So I'm all about the scale of the experience for families and starting with a small scale, really something that kids and families can be doing successfully. So don't plan to hike up Mount Monadnock with your 3-year-old if that's the first mountain you've ever hiked with them. Start small and expand, and look for the resources in your communities, like places like the Harris Center or Tin Mountain or Beaver Brook, and I know there's a million others out there. And your conservation commissions, many of them offer hikes, and find other families to go outside with. It's really great when you have other friends and families that are with you. But then your kids have other kids to be with, and you have other adults to talk with. So I'm all about building that relationship between families. And that's part of our Babies in Backpacks hike, is building a network of families that like to be outside together. So that's some of my answers. I could go on with this topic because it's what I think about most at my work. If anybody has any ideas, I'm always open to them too. All right, Jack, I got a question for you. Actually, I'm going to ask one of Barbara's questions.
I was going to say, yeah, we have some rapid fire questions here that are some short little things. So let's see. What's the first one you pulled out?
What do you do to have fun?
To have fun, I like to talk with my friends. I like to play soccer. I do like to watch YouTube often. And I like to call it researching because I have a YouTube channel of my own. So I want to see the best ways to engage kids online and talk to them about conservation while also, letting them see and do things that they would think of and see that they're doing. So I didn't explain that very well. But all I'm saying is that I use YouTube as a platform to spread the message of conservation to kids so that they too can be interested and engaged in conservation. So, yeah, I like to get outside and play sports with my friends and run around and play soccer and stuff like that.
Cool. I think I like to, I'm pretty physical, so I like to mountain bike and trail run and a lot of backcountry skiing and all that kind of stuff. And my 11-year-old, who's a year younger than Jack, because I've been training him since he's had those little legs, that's something we do a lot together. He's actually a much better everythinger than me. Runs faster than me, bikes faster than me, skis incredible. So we spend a lot of time outside. And when I'm not outside, I love to write. I spend a lot of time writing, and I wish I had more time in my life for that because it gives me great joy. So that's it. All right.
All right. Do you want to do one more?
Sure, you do it.
All right, great. Scared. How do you want to be remembered?
Oh my goodness, this is a dark question.
Yeah.
Well, some people in my neighborhood will remember me as the Princess of Poop. I have an incredible scat collection that I've been working on for a long time, and it's made its appearance in the local library and lots of places, and so the kids do call me the Princess of Poop. So I guess, do I want to be remembered like that? I guess I kind of do. It's kind of cool. And maybe I would love to be remembered for having a big open heart for the natural world, and for helping many people over a long period of time fall in love with this place. That would be even better than being known as the Princess of Poop. How about you, Jack?
Well, I'm only 12. I'm the same age as Susie was when she started at the Harris Center. But I'm hoping that I'll be remembered for being somebody who's always had a love for nature while also, wanting to educate others and bring others in and have them have a connection with nature as well. So hopefully it won't just be my memory that's around for a long time, that I'll be around too. But yeah. Yeah.
Well, Jack, I think we could hire you. I'm ready. I'm ready to write more, so Jack's going to be my replacement. Perfect.
All right.
He starts the same age I started. All right, I do have a question for you, Jack.
All right.
What advice would you give us adults out here to help kids and families kind of what advice would you give us if we want more kids like you?
Well, I would say for the parents, get your kids out in nature. And I think we've talked a lot about this today already, but getting your kids out in nature from a young age is one of the key things that you can do so that they can become connected and have a seed planted in their brains so that as they get older, they can always have that connection for conservation and the natural world. For the kids, have an appreciation for nature. It may come naturally, for others it may not, but think about and realize nature is a part of you and is a part of your life just as much as everything else is, if not more. So always remember that nature is a part of our world, you are part of nature. And then for the parents, support your kids in getting them out and getting them connected.
Great answer. Love it.
What would you think on that?
What's my advice? I think this sounds redundant, but lots of time outside because without that, it's very hard to connect. And I think when kids, even like for me, when I was in New York City growing up, my parents recognized early that I had an affinity for animals. I was just always so in love with animals, and they did take me to the Museum of Natural History. We went there once a month. They were school teachers, so they were always looking for free things to do because they never had any money. And the Museum of Natural History on Sundays used to be free if you lived in the city. The same with the zoos, used to be open and free on Sundays for residents. And we spent a ton of time at a wildlife refuge in Queens, which is where I spent a lot of time learning how to bird watch with my dad's friend Carmine, who talked like this. He'd be like, "There's a ruby-throated hummingbird." So sometimes I didn't understand everything he was saying, but it sunk in. So I think just really remembering no matter where you live, no matter where your kids might end up living, there's always nature to be found, and that time in it is really what has to happen. It's that immersion, and it doesn't need to be even that long, just a little bit every day, or walking your dog, things like that. So I'm all about that, getting outside more. So yeah, all right.
Susie, do you have any pets?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of pets. Sadly, my slug just passed away. So sad.
Aww.
I had a banana slug as a birthday present a friend gave me, but he didn't last too long. And I love animals that other people don't like usually. I love slugs and, name an animal that people aren't that happy with, and I'm usually like the cheering fan of it. So I loved my slug, and I'm really sad that Slippery, that was its name, passed away.
Good name.
But I also have a dog named Willow, and we spend a ton of time outside together. She's my companion when I go trail running and skiing, although she sits on the back of my skis sometimes. And then I also have, my mom passed away last year, and she had a dachshund, and now I have the dachshund, who's very naughty, I might add. She's very naughty, but I love her. I have to. And that's all. Oh, I had some baby turtles. The Harris Center is doing a baby turtle project, a head starting project. So for the last 2 years, I've had 27 hatchling turtles under my care, and then I give them to schools to raise, and then they get released back to the site where we collected them from. And this year, I have 4 painted turtles that I'm caring for just this year. The rest are out at school, so I kind of oversee a bunch of turtles. How about you, Jack? You got pets?
I have one dog, not as interesting as your family there, but yeah, I have one dog. He's adorable. He's a mutt, and he's like 13 pounds. So I've been lucky enough to have a dog most of my life. When I was born, my family had a greyhound named Binksy, who was the sweetest dog you'd ever meet. But yeah, we have pretty much my whole life I've had a dog in my house, so I think that was, especially when I was like a year old, I think that was really the first thing that kind of, seeing a world beyond humans, seeing that there was other things out there besides just our house, and these are my parents, right? Seeing that there was also a dog, seeing that there was other things that existed besides humans in my very early life was, I think, something that was kind of important.
Yeah, I love what Jack just said. I think a lot about this too, and I'm doing a workshop later called Everyday Wild, and that's about kind of everyday wild animals that we encounter. And I have to say, it's always good to remember that the pets that we live with, the dogs and the cats and maybe the slugs, especially dogs and cats, they have slivers of the wild animals they once were in them. Just think about about, you walk by a couch where your cat is under and it pounces on your toes. Or you take your dog out and it's, keyed in on a chipmunk. They give us flashes of the wild animals they were, and there's a lot to be learned from that. And when I work with kids, I often, if I'm doing a study on the wild canines of New Hampshire, a lot of times I have them go home and observe their dogs or a neighbor's dog, because it's good to remember that those animals that we live with have that little bit of wild still in them. So when you go home, look at your cat and your dog and have a kind of beginner's gaze to it, a new gaze at it. So yeah, good question. Love talking about my pets. Okay. This is a big question, Jack. There's so many problems in our world environmentally, and it can be so depressing, especially as a young person, I'm sure, to think like, this is my future, this planet that isn't being cared for. I'm wondering, how do you stay hopeful in the light of such dark news?
Well, I think you said it in there, that what really drives me to continue to stay hopeful is that this is our future. If we aren't optimistic about it, then that optimistic future may not come true. So being hopeful is a necessity in this world, that we need to protect it, or else it may be gone forever, and we don't want that. And I think what really keeps me hopeful is knowing that there's great people out there, like Susie, like everyone at NHACC, like all the people in working towards conservation and helping to protect so many species and so many habitats all around the world, knowing that there's good people out there who want to make a difference, who want to help, and who are helping.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, that was great. After that dark question, it might be time for a rapid fire, but that was a very optimistic. Okay, I'll go first. What are you grateful for, Jack?
Well, I'm grateful for a lot of things, but I think starting off, one of the things that I'm most grateful for is the opportunity to have experiences out in nature, both locally and globally. So just a few weeks ago, I returned from my trip to Indonesia, where I went for the very first time to see the habitat that I've been working to protect of orangutans in the rainforest, and seeing orangutans in the wild for the first time is something I will never forget. So I'm grateful for opportunities to be outside in nature and experiencing wildlife and everything wild and outdoors. I'm just glad I've been able to have the opportunity ever since I was little to get outside. And of course, I'm also grateful for my parents for giving me a lot of these opportunities, grateful to my grandparents, zookeepers, conservation experts, people I've interviewed, people I've talked with, people I've worked with, who have inspired me, given me hope, and supported me and empowered me to be able to have these kinds of opportunities.
I love that. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for all the mentors that I've had in the past. Mead Caddo being one of them. He was the director of the Harris Center for many years, and he's the one who got me started on my scat collection. So I'm very grateful for people like him and all the teachers I've had, and especially my parents, who told me, because they were school teachers, they said, "Oh, you can do whatever you want in the world, Susie. You can be whoever you want, but whatever you do, don't become a teacher." So, of course, both my brother and I are educators. We listen to them. And maybe they should have said, "Don't become a doctor," and we would have become doctors. But anyway, I think I'm grateful for my students. In the last question, when Jack was talking about what gives him hope, what gives me hope is my students. Sometimes I think, well, I should get a, quote, real job and do something, with grown-ups and get paid better probably and have a retirement fund and all that kind of stuff. But then I think about, wow, that means I wouldn't be able to hang out with kids outside And that, to me, is the better benefit of it. So I'm grateful for all the students that I get to work with, for their optimism, for their playfulness, for their joy, for saying things just as they see them, even if you don't want to hear them, like, wow, you have a lot of gray hair, Susie. Or, gee, your teeth are kind of yellow. I'm like, yeah, thank you. But I love it. It's for real. And I'm grateful for that honesty of the students that I work with. And ultimately, I'm grateful that I made the choice to come live in New Hampshire. I had a job with the Central Park Conservancy in New York City, and I liked the idea of living there. But when I was also offered a job up here, I came up to look at New Hampshire. And growing up in Brooklyn, we spent a lot of time at the free Brooklyn Museum. Getting the theme, everything was free. And there was a second floor of the museum where they had rooms from like a New England house. And they had this lucite cube with a scene from a New Hampshire village. It had a beautiful white town hall and a hill and little people skating on the pond. And I spent a ton of my childhood with my nose up against that, thinking, that's where I want to live. And then I drove through Hancock, and I thought, oh my God, it's the cube. And every day, am grateful for living in the lucite cube, finally. Crazy. All right, Jack, I have another question for you. Or do we want to do another rapid fire?
I think another rapid fire would be good.
Okay. No?
No. I have to share this. Okay. Looks like my mic stopped working. So yes, another rapid fire here. What motivates you most? I think we just kind of talked about that. So let's grab another one here. What do you always bring with you when you go outside? What are your essentials?
Oh, what do I bring with me when I go outside? I don't bring that much with me. I bring a sense of curiosity. I don't think I ever got past maybe 10 years old when I'm outside. I'm always just looking at everything I don't like to name things. I like to just look at it. So I just bring a lot of curiosity, a lot of wonder, a lot of respect with me, and a lot of joy. I like I said, I don't think I ever got past the age of 10. If it looks like a good place to lay down and roll, I will lay down and roll in the grass. I take my lead from my dog. I guess if I'm bringing anything with me, it might be a pair of binoculars, but a lot of times I don't even like that. I like to travel light. How about you, Jack?
My hiking boots and a rain jacket. I think those are probably the two basics. Food. Those are my essentials. But besides that, yeah, I agree with the sense of curiosity is definitely the most important thing to have when you're out in nature, is a sense of curiosity and the want to see wild animals and a passion for the outdoors. So, yeah.
All right, I have a question for you. So, Jack, at 12, and like I said, I have an 11-year-old. I also have a 20-year-old and a 23-year-old, so I've seen them go through like kind of your age range. And I know that what your peers think really seems to matter a lot at the age that you're in. And I'm wondering, what do your peers think about your work and your role as a kid conservationist?
Actually, my friends and all the people at my school have been really supportive of my work. They all think that it's really neat, and especially the chance to go to Indonesia for a couple weeks. I think they were mostly excited about the part of the missing school, but for me personally, that was not the main part of it. The main part was getting to see orangutans in the rainforest and seeing what I've been working towards. But yeah, definitely my friends have all been really supportive, and a lot of them have actually been really interested in hearing about my experiences and what I have to say about orangutans and nature and things like that.
I love that. That's great.
All right, I have a question for you. What part of your work at the Harris Center or any of the work that you've done as a naturalist is the part that you're the most proud of, or what's something that you look forward to when you go into work? Like, I can't wait to do this today, you know?
Oh man, it's really hard for me to choose. I've loved my 30 years of working for the Harris Center. I just can't even tell you how much I feel like their mission of helping people fall in love with this world is a match for my heart and my own kind of view. But lately, something that I'm most proud of is a program I started in 2017 called Lab Girls, and it's all about helping all girls connect to the natural world through STEM or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And this comes right from my own experience as a woman naturalist, and not always a common thing in the world. Especially, my kind of area of expertise is mammals, so it's a lot of guys tracking and not that many women. And I wanted to actually be a wolf biologist when I started college, but my first wildlife biology course, I was the only woman, and I didn't have the inner strength to be the only woman in the room. I wish I had. I really do. I still want to be a wolf biologist, can you tell? But I wanted to start a program that gave girls a feeling of sisterhood and a community where being a wolf biologist was totally cool, and there were other women in the room that worked that job. And so Lab Girls is all about bringing women in the world of natural sciences in to meet middle school and high school girls and give them kind of a look at what they could be, what is possible, and who the women are. And through that program, I've met some really amazing women pioneers, like women that were the first foresters in the state of New Hampshire, Karen Bennett, for example, and then women that are at the beginning of their careers, like a woman named Amani Weber-Schultz, who's a shark biologist, and she is also a bio-robot designer. So she's working on designing a type of shark robot so they can kind of understand the movement of sharks. I get really inspired by that and inspired by the girls that are in that program. I think that's probably a program that I feel right now most excited about, Jack. And I know that, boys need that too. I see that, and actually all the studies are showing that women are staying in college, boys are dropping out, women are continuing, on to higher degrees. I will just add there's still a significant pay gap between men and women in the science fields, and hard when it comes if you have children. It's hard to drop out and go back in. But back to the guys, I'm noticing that the boys that I work with at school, they also need programs like that, because I think they're not feeling as connected to learning or they're not as successful, I'll put that in quotes, they're not as successful in the format that public schools are in right now. And so I'm thinking a lot about what I can do for the guys too. So that's what I'm most proud of.
I was going to say, yeah, I think programs for everyone is definitely something to encourage kids and make everything more available for people to go into whatever field they want to do and make things more accessible for everyone is definitely, yeah.
Jack, how about you? What's something you're really proud of?
Something I'm really proud of? That's a tough one. I think I'm most proud of the fact that I've been able to inspire so many people all around the globe. I think there's 4 statistics that I am most proud of, and one of those is over 200,000 views on my YouTube channel. Which is people who have seen my videos. Over $13,000 raised for conservation. Over 12,000 trees planted in collaboration with Orangutan Alliance, one of the organizations that I work with. And the last statistic is how many people I've presented to, which is 4,000. 4,000 people at in-person presentations, which I've been able to talk to and see and been able to work with and see and answer their questions that they may have.
I feel like we should give Jack a round of applause. That's pretty
Thank you.
freaking impressive. Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, we need a rapid fire
All right.
going.
Oh,
Barbara, she's saying 5 minutes. We'll have to be really rapid. Oh, Jack, what are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? I think I have some typical fears, probably like fear of like spiders. But like, no, I mean maybe giant tarantulas, but daddy long legs, no, I can see those. Anyways, afraid of probably not being able to have an impact, or probably afraid of not being able to get my message across and not being able to help orangutans or any other animal. I'm afraid of what would happen to our world if we don't help protect it now, and if we don't inspire the next generation to be a part of our collective future. What about you, Susie? What are you afraid of?
I feel like Jack and I are, when we were rock, paper, scissors, we did the same ones a couple of times. I'm also afraid of spiders. Not the little ones, but the big ones. And Jack, I'm afraid of the same thing you are, that is it too late? Are we too late? I'll just end it there. I'm just afraid that keeps me up at night, in the future. So, it doesn't stop me from getting up every day and doing my work, but I feel really worried about my children and my children's children and all of the animals. I'm such an animal fan. I can't stand every time I read about the insect apocalypse. I'll see a firefly and I'll think, is that the last firefly I'm ever going to see? Is anybody going to know? Oh gosh, I'm getting so dark. We need another rapid fire.
I was going to say,
hopefully
yeah, let's
it's
refresh
like,
this
what's
here.
your favorite food? Barbara, that was a dark one. Okay. You read that one.
All
I'll
right.
put mine.
If you could be transformed into one animal, which one would you choose?
Oh, that's easy for me. I would definitely be an otter, a river otter. I love fish. I love swimming. I love water. I love sliding. I love the sleekness that I would be as an otter. And I like, every time I've ever seen an otter, it's otters. They've been in family groups, and they seem very chatty, and I just think I want to be part of that family. So, a river otter. Is it orangutan for you?
Well, that's one of them. Yeah, definitely. I love your answer. I mean, you're convincing me to want to be a river otter.
Everybody, river otter.
Woo! Yeah, I'd probably want to be an orangutan, swinging through the trees, making nests, and exploring the rainforest every day. I mean, that would be amazing. Some days I think I'd want to be a bird, because, I don't know, I think that aerial view from the sky would be something to behold and something that I really would love to experience. But, yeah, orangutan is probably my number one.
All right, we're going to do one more rapid fire, and then we'll call it a day. You do it.
All right. Thank you. Kind of stole that from you there. Would you rather find your dream job or win the lottery?
Wow. Well, since I already have my dream job, I'm going for the lottery. It's like 1 billion.
That's a good one.
How about you?
Well, I think I'd probably want to win the lottery, but I have a good reason for this. If I'm able to win the lottery, right now the winnings are so high that I would be able to do what I'd love for the rest of my life. Yeah, I think probably winning the lottery so that I'd have the opportunity to do what I'd want.
How about we take a vote out here? Raise
Yeah,
your hand if
that's a good
you'd rather find your dream job. Wow. Okay. And if you'd rather win the lottery? Okay, people, I hate to tell you this, the lottery's won. The lottery won. All right, it is $1.6 billion today, right? Is that true?
It's
Is that
something like that. It's
actually true?
crazy.
It's insane. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you all. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. Is my mic help? Can you hear me out there? Thank you so much. It's, you know, I often think of New Hampshire as having all these beautiful, wonderful, special places. But New Hampshire also has beautiful, wonderful, special people. It's going to choke me out. But,
Thank you.
So I definitely feel more inspired and more optimistic having these two people living in New Hampshire and doing the work that they do and inspiring the next generation, because I feel like it's working, and we can have a future where everybody can enjoy the outdoors and be healthy and be happy. So again, thank you all for the work that you do contributing to that here in New Hampshire, because it's so important. And thank you for coming today. Thank you for joining us. We're going to wrap this up, but you do have a 15-minute break, and then our sessions start at 10:15, session A. Then there'll be lunch, an early lunch today at 11:30, and then there are 2 more afternoon sessions. So if you need to look at there's a spreadsheet that has the list of sessions in it, and that's available at the registration table if you didn't get it when you came in. So everybody have a great day, and make sure you bring some information back to your commissions as well. Thanks again.